So, parentified children, let's have a bit of a chat about that. What are they? What creates them? What do we do if we have become one? This is a topic that I've been asked to have a bit of a chat about and shed a bit of light on. And as I've said to the person that asked me, this goes way beyond my qualifications. So, I'm just giving you the benefit of my experience here. This is not advice, this is general in nature. If you are experiencing this, I do suggest that you reach out to a therapist. So, what is a parentified child and why does it happen? Well, it's self-explanatory. It's when a child is forced into the parenting role. Why does it happen? Well, from one extreme, it could be because you've got narcissistic parents who have no ability, in fact, no interest in prioritizing and making someone else's needs greater than their own. So therefore that narcissistic parent will be a case of, you need to serve me. I'm not going to serve you. I am the most important person. You need to worship me and you need to prove it. You need to prove your loyalty. And of course, it goes deeper than that in that a child who does have a narcissistic parent becomes very finely in tune to the mood of that parent. So they'll know from the minute that parent comes home, from the way that person is walking, who they need to be to have less likelihood of either getting in trouble, getting targeted, getting punished. So their parent becomes the barometer for who they need to be. It's really sad. And what's really sad about it is that child then grows up believing that their job is to care for everyone else, that their job is to nurture someone else. And in fact, if they don't, they're not only letting the side down, they're actually a failure, which makes it very difficult for them to accept help themselves. They exhaust themselves. They are everything to everyone. They don't want to be, but it's all they know from a really, really young age, and it's a cycle. I'm going to give you some tips in a minute on how we can start to step free of that cycle. So what else creates a parentified child? Well, there are a couple of other reasons. It could simply be that the parent is emotionally unavailable. They've got possibly mental health issues, possibly substance abuse issues, and they literally cannot parent. So the child is forced to go into survival mode to literally look after themselves. And as a result, they grow up similar to the previous example that I gave, being very hyper-independent, unable to rely on other people, unable to ask for help, and in fact, seeing it as a failure and a massive, great burden if they do ask for help. If someone in that hyper-independence cycle does ask for help, they're going to put so many measures in place beforehand to almost earn the help so that the person that's actually delivering the help gets the better deal. And the other reason that kids become parentified is, like in my own experience, where I had amazing parents who divorced when I was in my mid-teens, back in the day when divorce wasn't as common as it is now, and gender roles, just specific gender roles. My dad grew up in it's the man that goes out and earns the living, and it's the woman that stays home and takes care of people. Now, he is still an amazing person and I love him desperately, but he was thrust into that absolute major confusion when mum left. What the fuck do I do? I don't know how to do this. So it was just that natural, progression that I then stepped up I was probably about 14, 15. I then stepped up and met my brother's needs in terms of making sure that they got to school okay, making sure school lunches were made. I would do the ironing. I would appoint myself Sergeant Major and issue orders, but it was a natural role. Interestingly, the gender roles were so entrenched back then that I didn't question it. It was just my job. I didn't feel that my childhood had been ripped away from me, that I didn't have that chance to explore and grow and be nurtured, because I stepped up and I had a job to do. But I didn't question that until much later in life, because it didn't seem odd to me, because it's just how it was. So if you find that if you're going, I think I I think I fit that label of a parentified child. Now I want to share with you that's not a diagnosis. It's simply a descriptor. It's not. It's a bit like imposter syndrome. It's not actually a medical diagnosis, or it's just a descriptor. So if you're actually thinking, I think that's me, but what can I do? Because saying no to people, well, that word's not really in my vocabulary, and it's all I know. How do I be something that I don't know how to be? So I'm going to give you a couple of tips here. Firstly, if you have trouble putting yourself first, I want you to realize it's because you were taught not to be selfish by selfish people. Fact. You were taught by people from a very young age, don't prioritize your own selfishness. Do what it is that I want you to do. So therefore, when you're not meeting my needs, you're selfish. Therefore, we grow up believing that when we put ourselves first, well, spoiler alert, we don't. But if we that concept of putting ourselves first feels to us because it feels selfish. Well, I want you to know that you were taught to be selfish by selfish people who said, don't do what you want to do what I want to do. So let's get rid of the concept of selfish, but easier said than done. So here's another one for you. Instead of feeling selfish, go with the term selfist. Selfist means, you know what? Your needs are important. My needs are important. I'm going to find a way that I can meet both so that it's more of an equal thing rather than a I'm more important than you thing. Because let's face it, if you are in this cycle, you are going to go a really weird colour and revert back to old patterns. The other great tip that I want to give you is if you feel the need to be the surrogate parent to a lot of people and solve, why not do it for yourself? Why not be your own parent? Why not treat yourself as one of your charges? Why not parent yourself? And you can do that by thinking, so what is it that I need today? And make it something really small. Find a really small need. Get into the habit of thinking, what do I need today? How can I care for myself? If I am a really good parent model, why not parent myself? Because there is that little part of you inside that just wants to be loved, nurtured, and cared for. The only thing is that we wish and we hope and we dream that it's going to come from other people. But let's get real. How great are you at accepting compliments, at accepting praise, at accepting help? Yeah, I know, you're fucked at it. You don't do it. So instead of wanting something from someone that you're not actually even going to accept, why not just turn it inward and parent yourself? What if you were to send some of that nurturing to yourself and see those two parts of yourself as distinctly different so that you can be the parent to that inner part of yourself, that inner child, and meet those needs? And it could be about giving yourself extra time. It could be about, making a meal that you really like instead of everyone else's favorite meal. What happens if you became your own parent? Because then you're actually going to become really good at allowing other people not to parent you, but to actually share the caring with you. I'd really like to know if you can resonate with any of this. Parentified child is something that a lot of us fall into without even realizing. I don't want you to look back and go, oh my God, I'm a parentified child. I want you just to realize that these things happen because it was almost normal. It was normalized for the kids to get up and nurture for their parents because it was either gender roles, emotionally unavailable parent, or a parent that was not prepared to share the spotlight. If this is you, I see you. I see you. You are doing such a great job. You don't need to let all your walls down. How about putting a ladder up against it though, by caring for yourself? I hope that's been a little bit interesting for you. I was supposed to do this in 3 minutes or under, but have you met me? 3 minutes or under, it takes me that long to say hello. Hope you have a really fab day. My name is Leanne. I run a business called Reboot Mindset Coaching and Training, and I'm so glad that you have watched this. I hope you have got something from it. You can find me at rebootyourlife.com.au in case you want to have a chat.